And to talk more about the US-Russia summit, we're now joined by international relations expert, Professor John Stremlau. Prof, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Trump was quite boisterous going into this meeting, and he came out with no more forward movement on a ceasefire than any other world leader has had in a conversation with Putin. In fact, Putin was able to lay down his demands without any concessions being made on his part. In fact, Putin had drawn a very hard line that there are two Ukrainian territories that he wants to annex in exchange for any sort of ceasefire conversation to begin with. Donald Trump seems to think that Ukraine should roll over and capitulate, give these two territories to him. Has Donald Trump finally shown his international relations interlocutor inaptitude?
Well, Oliver, you're kind to raise the question of international relations. I've been studying international relations for nearly 60 years now, and I have never, ever seen two leaders like Putin and Trump, two criminals showing the world how well they get along with each other. But what one is a duly elected president of the United States, and I was a born American. I'm ashamed. I'm truly ashamed. Both have killed many thousands. Putin by attacking and bombing Ukraine, and Trump by cruelly ending the USAID and imperiling lives throughout Africa and the global South.
Yeah, let's perhaps talk about the sanctions, because Trump seems to have not made any movement on that. In fact, he seems to be quite soft on the idea of further sanctioning Russia, while European allies of NATO want more sanctions on Russia. Putin seems to believe, or at least as Medvedev had explained, that because Putin had not welcomed any further sanctions or drawn any further sanctions in this meeting, that it was a victory on their part. Would sanctions solve the Russia crisis?
No, they would not. And Russia has been insulated. It's got the economy the size of Texas, but nevertheless, it does have a huge arsenal of nuclear weapons. And Trump has been playing up to Putin since his first administration, and he seems to get along well with him. But I don't know what the oligarchs and friends of Putin did for bailing Trump out in the 1990s. And, we just don't know what they talked about one-on-one in English in the beast that you now see, the presidential limousine that they were sitting in the back of, and without note takers. And I just don't know what their relationship is or what it's premised on. And I can't, for the life of me, think that these guys they deserve to be behind bars, and Trump is a convicted felon. And Putin.
Prof, are you able to divorce, from an optics perspective, are you able to divorce what happened yesterday from the fact that we now know Trump had asked the Russians, or at least the Trump camp had asked the Russians, to commit cyber espionage on Hillary Clinton back in 2016 to release the emails, which we now know Russia did?
Well, there has been a huge report written by a former FBI head on this very important collaboration that was behind the surface, but we don't really know what the 16 or since then relationship between the Russians and Putin and Trump really boils down to. It's probably money, but we don't know.
Yeah, just a last question here. Donald Trump is set to meet with Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukrainian president, later on. The last time they met was the iconic picture in the cathedral at the funeral of the previous pope. And that was a moment where we all thought Trump would finally be able to reconcile with Volodymyr Zelensky after humiliating him a few months earlier. How do you expect that meeting to play out, given how much of the optics we saw was that Trump rolled out the red carpet for Putin?
Well, it's tricky, obviously, and Trump is very unpredictable, so I don't really know. I will watch with interest when Zelensky goes to the White House on Friday, if it's another repeat where Zelensky cannot abide by Trump's badgering, and Zelensky was earlier thrown out of the White House as a result, that you allude to. But I don't know what's going to happen, and I can't believe that Putin is going to compromise at all. And the Europeans are nervous, and rightly so. And I'm nervous, and I'm shamed.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Always fantastic speaking to you. Always an incredible interlocutor. And yeah, great Sam Hlengeta piece behind you there, paying tribute to Miriam Makeba. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Really do appreciate it.